My name is Jay Chambers, and I am red on the Redemption message boards. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to give a lecture on Introduction to Redemption Strategy. And so my reasoning for the reason I need to do a lecture on redemption strategy is one, I've got 4 new players sitting in front of me, and it is a way for me to give back to the community. And so the reason a lecture on redemption strategy needs to be given is that there's a proliferation of horrible redemption play. A lot of people know how to play without knowing how to play. And what I mean by that is there's people that know how to push the pieces of cardboard around on the table in a proper manner according to the rules, but these people do not know how to play at any sufficient level. For an example, I was at one of my friend's tournaments, Rex Adams in Dunlap, Tennessee, and I was playing Taekwondo 2-player, and some of the things I saw people do was surprising. Like people would make a rescue attempt with a purple hero with wonderment and authority of Peter or some other type of enhancement in their hand, and I would block them and give them initiative. And they would play wonderment, the negate last enhancement, instead of playing the battle winner. And no, I am not just telling you this. I've seen someone do that. It's not particularly fun. Another play I've seen people do is I was playing Steeljack at Nationals, and I've seen people block a rescue attempt with no enhancements in their hand. I had Naomi, Boaz, and Elders of the City Bandit, and someone literally just sort of stuck Aiken into battle with nothing to play with. People don't know how to play. And the reason this is because people don't know the basics of redemption strategy. And so, before we really get into the finer details of redemption strategy, I kind of want to give you a few preliminary observations on strategy versus tactics. Because they're distinct entities. People use the two terms interchangeably at times. They'll say strategy, tactics, and they're sort of talking about the same thing, but there's a big distinction, or there's a slight distinction, not a big distinction, between strategy and tactics. Strategy is the big picture, whole game. Strategy is how do you want the game to go? Do you want to win this game in 3 turns? 10 turns? 40 turns? Or do you want to... And tactics, on the other hand, is this turn, in the moment. What are we doing right now? Who do I attack with? What enhancements do I play? How do I play my enhancements? That's tactics. Strategy is, I'm going to do X, Y, Z throughout the whole game. And so, in this lecture, I will discuss both tactics and strategy. And we will begin with redemption strategy, or the big picture of how a game works, and what is the biggest thing in redemption strategy. And so, I would like to say that redemption strategy involves resource management more than almost anything else. You see, the nature of collectible card games such as Redemption, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, the trading card game, is resource management. In each of these games, you have a number of different resources. In Magic, you have cards, time, and mana. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you have cards and time. In Pokemon, you have cards and time and energy. And in Redemption, you also have 3 resources. But you don't have a cost-based resource in the sense of Magic, or Pokemon. In Redemption, you have three resources. You have the two that are common to all CCGs, which is cards and time. But there is a third one, and it is opportunity. You have cards, time, and opportunity. And so for the next several minutes, we're going to kind of unpack each one of these in the terms of redemption. So the first of the three resources in redemption that you have to manage are cards. In any card game, there's a technique, or there is a concept known as card advantage. Card advantage is when one player has more cards available than another player. So, because, for example, in Redemption, you have heroes and you have evil characters and you have attacks and blocks and battle phases. And so, on turn 2, the average Redemption player will have drawn about 11 cards. Their initial draw 8 plus 3 more. Well, some decks, such as the Throne of David, which was a popular deck in this last season and in the last metagame, you could have gone through 15 to 25 cards by turn 2, which is a massive difference between this little deck that's holding 11 cards and you've got that many cards on the field and you've got a hand of 10. And in that situation, who's more likely to have the stuff needed to win the rescue attempt and then block the next one? The deck with more cards. And so within Redemption, you have cards as one of your three resources. And your management of cards is very important. Because I've seen people over the course of the game, randomly, when they get their card, when their hand reaches 9 or more, you have to discard a card or 2. And I've seen people discard 3 battle-winning enhancements from their hand and then lose the game because of it. Because they managed their cards poorly. Card management is key. Because if you run out of stuff, you don't get a soul. I was playing a game at Tennessee State just about a month ago. I was playing with a player from Kentucky named Drew Wills. And Drew was playing the Throne of David, the deck I talked about earlier. I was playing a deck that I called Random Chicken Army, which was a deck that consists of martyrs and musicians with Pharisees on defense. And so in my deck, I had 11 heroes. I had 9 heroes, 5th Seal Justice Seekers, which is an enhancement and a character. And I had I Am Creator, which if you have no heroes, you can search your deck for a hero and put it in play. So I had about 11 ways to a hero. And so we come to the very crucial part of the game, and I'm down. He's killed 2 of my heroes. And I've got 2 in play. And he shuffles 1 into my deck with Grapes of Wrath. And then he uses a card called Invoking Terror to underdeck my other hero. So I have no heroes. I have Son of God in my hand. I need a hero plus Son of God and Second Coming to win the game. I have 2 Lost Souls. So I draw 3. I've got about 8 outs to a hero in a 20-card deck. And I whiff because I mismanaged my heroes because I had none. And as a result, I lost. I drew the Second Coming, but I didn't draw the hero to play the enhancements in my hand. And as a result, I lost the game because I mismanaged my cards, my heroes, which you need to win the game, of course. And so, card management is key. If you mismanage your cards, you can lose a game faster than almost any other way. But not only is card management important in Redemption, so is time management. Because if you remember, the second resource I said was time. And so within Redemption, time as a resource is an interesting kind of concept. Because the reason that time is a resource is because you're guaranteed at least 3 turns. A game of Redemption cannot end before turn 3. On average. I think in the past there's been combo decks that could do it, but kind of iffy at best. And so at most, you're guaranteed in Redemption is 3 turns. In prior formats, a deck was good or bad if it could win the game in 3 turns consistently. At this point, Redemption has advanced past that because of various introductions through the latest few expansion sets. And so the average game time of a Redemption game is 8 to 10 turns. So that's a decent amount of time, but you have that as time. But time as a resource can also be managed in how many turns ahead you are. how much time you have versus what the opponent has. For example, if you go first and you make a rescue attempt and you get a lost soul, you have a turn ahead of your opponent. You are +1 turns. Your opponent makes a rescue attempt and rescues a lost soul, and it goes into your turn, and you can attack again, and you can go and try to get another soul. And if you get another soul, you remain a turn ahead of your opponent. And so you have these turns, and what you can. But here's the thing: time is an interesting resource in Redemption because you can create it. It's the only resource in Redemption that you can create out of thin air. And the way that you create time is making successful blocks while making successful rescue attempts. For example, I go first and I make a rescue attempt and I rescue a lost soul. You go second, you make a rescue attempt, and I block your rescue attempt. So I am a turn ahead of you. So I use my turn ahead of you, and then I rescue another lost soul, and now I'm 2 turns ahead of you. Which means I have 2 turns before you're capable of catching up to me. And in those 2 turns that it would take you to catch up to me, I can win the game. And so, time is important. And understanding the flow of the game and how much time a game is going to take is something that can make or break your strategy and how you would play the game. I've seen people prepare for a 10 to 20 turn game and lose in 5. And so they weren't prepared for a faster game, and they made plays with the long game envisioned, and then they lost the game before those plays would have mattered. And so an important skill is being able to read how long the game is going to take and how much time you actually have. And unfortunately, that's kind of one of those things that you can't really teach as much as you got to catch it. And that's how it's going to be with our third resource, which is opportunity. And so opportunity is the most interesting of the Redemption resources because a lot of games don't have as much as like Redemption. Magic has a little bit of it, but Magic's actually got that structured into the game. And it's not as adaptable because in Magic the Gathering, a card that costs 1 mana is typically not going to be good on turn 15. In Redemption, cards that are good on turn 1 can also sometimes be good on turn 15. Which is an interesting way the game works. And so what I mean by this is certain cards have what I would call an opportunity value that goes up or down depending on what stage of the game you're in. Certain cards in the game have a special ability that says negate all special abilities on characters and enhancement cards except this one. Battle is determined by the numbers. These cards are referred to in the community as fight by the numbers cards. And so, the fight by the numbers cards, or characters, because the ability is typically on characters, are really, really good on the first turn of the game. Because it is unlikely that an opponent in a hand of 8 cards has assembled something that is attacking you with 10 offense and negating everything. It's very difficult to assemble something that would stop that on turn 1. And so that card is really good on turn 1. But as the game progresses and they've drawn more cards, they've probably drawn cards that they can use to counter the fight with the numbers character and block it, such as cards with the cannot be prevented or negated modifier, big numbered or large numbered evil characters, and several other things, several other different defensive tools that are handy against fight with the numbers. And so the opportunity of that card value goes down as the game progresses. But other cards, their ability scales as the game progresses. For example, the National Entrant Promo, Authority of Christ, has the special ability to discard all evil characters in play, cannot be negated. So, Authority of Christ Promo is a lot better on turn 10 when you could be killing 5 to 8 evil characters than on turn 1 where you're going to knock out 1. And so that card's opportunity value increases as the game goes on. And then there's a few cards that their opportunity value is about the same at all points of the game. An example of this is the card Woman with Child from the latest expansion set, Revelation of John. Woman with Child special ability says that you can search your deck for a lamb icon card, a good diamond. So, Son of God, Second Coming, Angel of the Lord, Guardian of your souls, Grapes of Wrath, Three Woes. Powerful, dominant cards that are good dominants that she can go get at any point in the game. And so, at any point in the game, her value is relatively the same. Really stinking good. And so, some cards are special on this opportunity cost. But understanding opportunity values is something that will come with experience. I can't really teach it to people because it's something you just kind of know. You catch it. You don't get taught it. It's caught, not taught. And so, the three resources in Redemption you've got to manage are cards, time, and opportunity. And strategy consists of, over the course of the game, understanding that I've got to manage these things so that they're equally available to me at all points. Instead of, well, it looks good right now, I'm going to go and do whatever I want. And then I've got to discard 11 cards out of my hand or something. You can't actually do that to hand limit 16. You can't draw past 16 at any point, but still, discarding 8 cards is kind of rough. And so understanding resource management is key to being a good Redemption player. And understanding that the game consists of more than just this turn, but it's something that you have to look at in the longer, grand scale of things. And so, we move from strategy to tactics. Redemption strategy is about resource management, and tactics is more about, what do I do right now? I've seen players who are really good tactically, who can make brilliant plays on the fly, and then I've seen players who are incredibly good for the long game. And then I've seen players who are good at both, and they're typically the people who've won 3 nationals or more. And so, in Redemption, we have strategy and we have tactics. And the most important place during a turn where tactics matter the most is during the battle phase. Redemption is centered around the battle phase. Evil characters and heroes going at it over the souls of mankind. That is the central point and integral feature to Redemption gameplay. And so, tactics are what comes into play during the average battle phase. And so, for the sake of this lecture, I'm going to talk about tactics during the battle phase. There's other stuff that could be mentioned, but for this lecture, I'm going to talk about tactics during the battle phase. And so, the tactics of the battle phase are threefold. You have character choice, enhancement order and usage, and triggers. And so, the first of the three is character choice. Attacking with the wrong character or blocking with the wrong character can break your game. For example, using the I and J starter decks, I'm playing with the J starter deck. I have a field of Ruth, Elders of the City, Boaz, Naomi. I also have Shamgar. My hand consists of Devotion of Ruth, Loyalty of Ruth, Family Bond, and Gideon's Call. My opponent's defensive field has Safe, Nabal, Achan, and Delilah. So I look at who I've got on my field, and I'm somewhat of a more emotional player in this situation. And so I'm like, hey, I like Shamgar's picture. He looks awesome. And I'm like, I've got enough enhancements in my hand, I can get over Saf's numbers. And so I bravely push my Shamgar into battle. And then Saf blocks me. Okay. I play Gideon's Call. I play Family Bond. I am 11-10. Your initiative. And then he plays Ishban and Bob's Spear, discards it, and under the deck my Shamgar goes, and I just lost the battle. My opponent gained a turn, and I'm sitting pretty with a big old band I could have attacked with. Here's another way that situation could go. Naomi bends to Boaz, bends to elders of the city, and recurs when judges govern from my discard pile. And then I get blocked by the Achan. And the Achan plays Achan's sin, which negates my elders of the city, and then discards all cards in battle. And then I play Family Bond because I had special initiative, and then boom, it's negated. And I get a lost soul. And instead of being a turn behind, I'm a turn ahead. Making the right rescue attempt or block is important. Sometimes people don't do it very well. The biggest piece of advice I can give a new Redemption player is please don't attack with the hero with the coolest picture. Unless it's strong. Then it works. Sometimes. But basically, character choice is a make or break issue. From all the way from the starter decks to competitive Redemption. And the second of the threefold tactics of the battle phase is enhancement, usage, and order. You would be amazed at how many new players I've seen just play the first enhancement they see in their hand. Make a rescue attempt with Andrew versus Emperor Tiberius. You're holding You Are the Christ and Wonderment. Guess which one the new player typically for some reason plays first? Wonderment. I mean, I'm sitting over here in this sealed deck tournament, I'm like, okay, your initiative. I mean, I had Crucify him in my hand to block for my Emperor Tiberius. He plays Wonderment first, I'm like, okay. Then he plays You Are the Christ, discard Emperor Tiberius, and I'm like, hey, you caught on. And then I get special initiative and I play Crucify him. Negate his enhancement, discard it, his initiative, and he dies by the numbers because he made a misplay. Enhancement usage is important, and for some reason, some people just can't get it right. I view there being three classes of enhancements. This isn't talking about weapon, warrior, set aside, or weapon class, set aside, territory class, healing. That's independent of what I'm talking about. You have three classes of enhancements. You have battle winners, enhancements that win a battle for you. You have negates, enhancements that stop your opponent's battle winner or their negates. And then you have support enhancements that draw you cards or something else. Searches for an enhancement, stuff like that. Support class enhancements. And those are not official rules, those are my categories. And so, enhancement order really matters in the usage of battle winners and negates. Typically, when your hero makes a rescue attempt and gets initiative, you want to play a battle winner protected by a negate or 4. Because in this metagame, and even in the starter deck environment, negate wars happen. And a negate war is when I play a battle winner, I play a negate. I negate your negate. I negate your negate. I negate your negate that negated my negate, that negated your negate, that negated my battle winner. Well, I negate that one. Okay, I play another battle winner. Well, I'm dead. And the thing is you see battles like that in Type 1 2-player competitive meta now. Historically, the Type 1 2-player metagame was defined by people who would try to make the battle phase as smooth as possible. Play a cannot be negated enhancement, kill a bunch of things, get a soul, not even be able to block. And now it's more like negate, 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 negate. Negate out of reserve, negate out of nowhere, pull a negate out of my head. That's about what it's like. Negates are all over the place. And so getting enhancement usage down is key to being a competitive Redemption player. You don't want to be the darling little child that plays Wonderment against Emperor Tiberius instead of You Are the Christ. Because it doesn't work. What are you going to negate? Thin air? It doesn't work. And so playing your enhancements properly is important and something I can't stress enough. And the final of the three tactics of Redemption Battlefield Tactics is triggers. So within the competitive metagame of Redemption, extending past the starter decks, I know some people who haven't got past the starter decks need to play with them a little more. But, my girlfriend. But, within competitive Redemption, there are lots and lots of things going on. In my opinion, Redemption has more interactions than any other card game per turn. Because in competitive Redemption, sometimes you could have two instead triggers in one battle phase. You could have a bajillion territory class characters triggering off, artifacts, lost souls. And triggers are important. There's a lost soul with a reference from Hebrews chapter 5, verse 11, called the dull lost soul, because the passage is talking about people who are dull of hearing, that says, during battle, if opponent uses a good ability to look, reveal, or search, you may search your deck for an evil character or an evil enhancement. I have missed the dull lost soul trigger more than anything else. And so, that's a weakness in my own play. Missing triggers is really, really bad for being good at Redemption. Because the dull lost soul's ability, if you got 4 dull triggers and you missed every single one of them in the same battle phase, you might lose that game. And so, getting your triggers, your dull trigger, Herod's Temple, Music Leader, these are just a few cards that have triggered abilities that are very important to Redemption play. Using your triggers to the fullest is one of the keys to winning in competitive Redemption today. Because the average deck is running at least the dull lost soul. A lot of them run Music Leader. Music Leader, when he's triggered, gets to search out 2 good cards involving music, of which some of the best cards in the game are doing that right now. The dull lost soul gets to search out a bunch of evil cards. I mean, just missing these triggers is bad. And it's a tactical misplay. Most Redemption misplays are tactical in nature. Very few are actually strategic. But sometimes they exist. Typically a Redemption misplay is attacking with the wrong hero, or playing the wrong enhancement. And that can still happen even when you know battle winner before negate rule. Or even missing triggers. Those are tactical misplays. And they end up, when you make enough tactical misplays and you blow your turn that you had, your turn completely amounts to nothing, it sets back your strategy. Tactics and strategy in Redemption, as in all games, are ultimately married. They go together. About like peanut butter and jelly. You can't have one without the other. And so, in conclusion, Redemption as a strategic game is about resource management, and it is about knowing how to play your turn tactically. And this has been a short introduction to Redemption strategy. Without going into too much depth, I did not cover issues such as deck building or how to play during your preparation phase, but that will be in a later lecture. As for now, this is Professor Red signing off.